Hi boys and girls. Today I want to teach you about the parts of a crayfish. So this is a crayfish that my sons found in the creek near our house. It is actually an invasive species of crayfish. That means that it is not typically found, or it's not supposed to be in Pennsylvania. This is called a rusty crayfish, and this type of crayfish entered Pennsylvania through fishing. People were using this type of crayfish as bait in fishing, and probably some other reasons as well, but they have taken over, and they're actually pretty harmful to the natural crayfish in Pennsylvania because they eat up all the food and make it harder for the other crayfish to get the food that they need. And also they are more aggressive. Now although this guy is kind of small, they can grow to be pretty big, and these ones will eat some of the natural crayfish and native crayfish that are in Pennsylvania. So I'm going to show you how you would pick up this little guy, and then I'll figure out if it is a guy or a girl. And I'm going to tell you about some of the parts. So when you are picking up a crayfish, you want to grab it on the upper part of its body, which is called the carapace up here. Crayfish have an exoskeleton, which is like a hard outer shell, kind of like crabs or lobsters. You can see the crayfish looks like a mini lobster. And he has two pincers in the front that are little claws, and they can pinch. They can hurt a little bit. So in order to make sure that you don't get pinched, you would grab the crayfish from the carapace right behind. Now you'll see that he will reach the pincers up towards me, but if I grab him on the carapace, this part behind hits his head and his eyes, he can't reach me to pinch. He's flipping his tail to try to get away. These are his pincers, and if I put my fingers there, he will try to get see if he can get. If you look at his head, you can see he has two eyes, and they're kind of out. They stick out from his head a little bit, and that allows them to move and see easily. If you try to catch a crayfish in the water, you'll notice that they can spot you pretty easily, and they swim away quickly. They have antennae that come off right under where their eyes are. They actually use those antennae to almost like we do our noses to smell, in a sense that's similar to smelling, and they will use that to find their food. In the back they have I'll show you the tail when I put them back down, but they have a segmented tail that allows it to curl it up underneath. They use it like a flipper, like you would in swimming or snorkeling, and they can push it down, and it helps them to swim backwards really quickly away from enemies or predators. If you look underneath, you can see these are called, let's see if we can see them. They look like, they have 6 legs, or sorry, they have 8 legs, plus their 2 pincers. And then they have these little things down here that are called swimmerets, right on the bottom underneath the tail. And those allow it, they help it to move and swim. And I believe that this is a male. Male crayfish have shorter spinnerets, and the female crayfish have longer spinnerets. And you'll learn more about that when you look at a website later on. their mouth, I don't know if you can see, they have a strange mouth that is almost scissor-like, that helps to chop up their food so that they can swallow it. And you can see him rolling up his tail there. And I'm gonna put him back in and see if we can see how he'll move away from me. So if I go towards him in the front, he's not gonna do it. He might not have enough water in there to do it. But he will, if they're in deeper water and you go towards them in the front, they curl up, swing their tail underneath of them, and that allows them to back up really quickly. Notice that crayfish, notice how he's backing away. Crayfish move backwards and if you ever see them in the water, you go towards them, they're gonna turn so that their claws are always facing towards you. Their pincers are facing towards you so they could pinch and protect themselves from predators and from people. And then they can use their tail, like those flippers, to swim away really quickly. So I hope that you learned a little bit about the parts of a crayfish. If you have a creek or pond nearby your house, you might be able to see some of these little guys in the wild.